This is why you shouldn't over-promote females. You're having sympathy with Rachel. She clawed her way there with her nails falling off, desperate to get to that position. She lied on her CV. She stabbed each other in the head to get to that position. And now she's in tears and you want to say that you feel sorry for her. All politicians are snakes. None of them deserve sympathy at any time.
You couldn't cope with the pressure when it came to it. If it was a personal matter, Rachel Reeves, stay at home. If it was serious enough that you could cry in public, moving the markets, taking £3 billion off the markets, putting the cost of public borrowing up, probably people's mortgages up as a result of what you did, the cost of the pound, people are going on holiday, is going to get fewer euros for their pounds because you couldn't hold the tears back. I'm sorry, Rachel Reeves. As I said yesterday, it's as simple as this. Man the hell up.
Breaking today, real tough birds, Katie Hopkins and Julia Hartley Brewer, have turned on Rachel from accounts and say her astonishing breakdown in PMQs yesterday after that bitch fight with Angela Rayner are actually giving real women, powerful women, women who don't have to talk all the time about being a woman, a bad name. So this is what Katie posted on X. She said, "This is not a matter of sympathy for personal issues or boys who don't like to see a girl cry. This is a matter of respect for the public office you clawed and lied your ways to get #Rachel from accounts." And she went even further in this video. Watch.
Boys who are upset to see Rachel Reeves crying in the House of Commons, would you please get over yourself? One, she represents the office of the Chancellor of Great Britain. She should be giving people the idea of confidence, of positivity, of someone who knows what they're doing. You can't sit there blubbing. You can't. It's irrelevant what's going on in your life, whether you're male or female. All that matters is that you represent the office with the sort of respect that you would want to accord to it. Number two, this is why you shouldn't over-promote females. You're having sympathy with Rachel. She clawed her way there with her nails falling off, desperate to get to that position. She lied on her CV. She stabbed each other in the head to get to that position. And now she's in tears and you want to say that you feel sorry for her. All politicians are snakes. None of them deserve sympathy at any time. And this is specifically why women should not be over-promoted past their capabilities. If you don't have a spine, if you can't separate your private life and your business life, if you have to be a big, I'm a mother as well, or I am a heart person, sure you are. Chat about that in your off-duty moments. Chat about that in magazines if you want to. Show pictures of your fanny. I don't care. When you're at work, you're in business. And it's why women must not be over-promoted. So boys, quit with the blubbering.
Yes, Katie, I completely agree. We need to stop talking about identity politics, full stop. I was so disturbed that when Christopher Hope from GB News got the first interview with Rachel Reeves after a whole load of epic financial disasters and U-turns and lies on her CV. The first thing he asked her was about the fact that she was the first women chancellor. I do not care. I do not care. Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister in the 80s. So I do not care that we have a female chancellor. What I care about is that she does the job properly. And actually, what I love about the powerful women in my life, who I respect, like Katie Hopkins and like Julia Hartley Brewer, is they never fall back on the fact that you should be treated differently because you are a woman. Julia was on fire on Talk today. Watch. Big news, Outspoken is now available as a podcast too. So please do subscribe wherever you get yours, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and make sure you rate and review. I'll take 5 stars, if you may.
I don't know about you, I'm dealing with some personal matters and I really can't cope with today, and I've had a row with someone and I just can't do my job. Yeah, has anyone else ever felt like that? Philip Ingram, as you just heard, obviously feels exactly the same way. I'm Julia Hartley Brewer. This is Talk. We're the home of common sense where we don't cry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, little Rachel Reeves. First woman Chancellor, you don't get to play the woman card and then throw the rest of us under the bus at the first sign of trouble. You cried yesterday, not because you had a row with Keir Starmer or Angela Rayner or the Commons Speaker Lindsay Hoyle, or because you weren't backed by the Prime Minister in questions from Kemi Badenoch about your future. And by the way, that Prime Minister's lying. You're not lasting all the way to the next election or beyond. You cried because you're not up to the job. You have been over-promoted, you overfilled your CV, you made claims that were not true. Some might call them actual lies, because most of us could remember whether we'd worked for, 10 years or 5 years at the Bank of England as an economist. Some of us could remember whether we were in the complaints department or an economist at Halifax Bank of Scotland if we'd worked there for a number of years. You have overplayed your cards, you are up to your neck in it, and you are out of your depth. And that is why you couldn't cope with the pressure when it came to it. If it was a personal matter, Rachel Reeves, stay at home. If it was serious enough that you could cry in public, moving the markets, taking £3 billion off the markets, putting the cost of public borrowing up, probably people's mortgages up as a result of what you did, the cost of the pound, people are going on holiday, is going to get fewer euros for their pounds because you couldn't hold the tears back. I'm sorry, Rachel Reeves. As I said yesterday, it's as simple as this. Man the hell up.
Yes, Julia, man the hell up. I love it. But of course, we have client journalists operating throughout the mainstream media. So the people, have you noticed this? The people who were the most cruel to Liz Truss, who actually wanted to send our former Prime Minister to a breakdown, who even now taunt her over a sick Daily Star stunt involving a lettuce, all of a sudden, they care about humanity in politics. They want us to go easy on female politicians, like the very wet LBC lefty Ben Kentish.
Thought it was a really, really poor decision and a sign of a lack of empathy from Kemi Badenoch and a lot of other people that have chosen to respond cruelly to the Chancellor. I would suggest, respectfully, might take a look at themselves and just ask whether they've really dealt with this with the humanity that I think even politicians, even the most senior of them, still deserve.
Piss off, Ben Kentish, because you don't give a damn if that female politician happens to be a Conservative. You don't give a damn if it was Priti Patel. You don't give a damn if it was Suella Braverman. You certainly don't give a damn if it is Liz Truss. So we're not going to show sympathy now simply because someone is a woman, especially when this woman is destroying our country. But there was so much of this, and actually Katie Hopkins pulled a lot of these people apart. I loved it. So look at this post from Sheila Fogarty, also of the Labour Broadcasting Company, who wrote, "I once read an entire news bulletin in tears, somehow stifled them as I read each cue, then sobbed during the audio. Co-presenter Nikki Campbell saved me by making me laugh. God bless him. I really felt for Rachel Reeves today. Why did nobody help her?" Katie Hopkins responded, "Calm down, she loves donuts, Fogarty. She's the chuffing chancellor at PMQs, not some radio sloth with type 1 and type 2 diabetes." But Katie was particularly harsh on the men who were making excuses for Katie Hopkins, though I'm not sure if this dude actually describes himself as a man. He's more of a they-them. Tom Harwood from GB News, who wrote, "This is genuinely very sad to watch and utterly heartless of the Prime Minister." Well, Katie responded, "Tom, let me show you the body of the dead farmer who shot himself. She forced his hand on the trigger. Get your spine in gear, son. You have a voice. Do not be weakened by the tears of a woman." And she wasn't finished there, because Matthew Said tweeted or posted on X, sorry, I should say correctly, huge admiration for Rachel Reeves for having the guts to go into politics. 100 times braver than the armchair cowards on here. Crying doesn't show weakness. Don't agree with her policies, but salute her courage, not least to go into the chamber while feeling miserable. And Katie said, "So weird to watch these men," and she put men in inverted commas, "lose all rational ability. Would you admire the dentist that lied to get the job, then effed your teeth, Matthew? Would you admire the surgeon who turned up sobbing for your heart transplant? F your phony female fellatio. And is there anyone worse in the mainstream media? I mean, honestly, I know it's a very, very tough market, but is there anyone worse in the mainstream media than Paul Brand of Woke ITV, who just seems to get it wrong every single time? So this was his take yesterday. A tear just rolled down the Chancellor's cheek at PMQs as the PM refuses to answer whether or not she'll stay in her job. A fever or something else. And then he said, I am loath to jump to conclusions given the inherent sexism in politics about female ministers crying, etc. But much of Westminster is wondering if that was a moment of genuine upset for Reeves. Now, can I just tell you, Mr. Paul Brand, if a man were to go into the House of Commons and start sobbing, yeah, that would be a real issue, mate. And it would be a bigger issue than what we saw yesterday. June Slater, the brilliant June Slater, responded to Brand saying, for God's sake, stop talking about this bloody woman like she's Tess of the D'Urbervilles. She's a hard-assed, ambitious, ruthless individual whose policies have wreaked havoc on pensioners, farmers, small businesses, and the big employers, crushing many families. She exaggerated her capabilities and she should park whatever she is upset about and have some backbone. If it was personal, stay at home. If it was work-related, own it and stop the tears. But the problem is, have you noticed, so many of the people who claim to be so-called conservatives are actually part of this wet, woke movement. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Sajid Javid, who posted, whatever your politics, it was hard not to feel for Rachel Reeves today, wishing her all the best. Well, I actually loved this reply from the right angle. I had to share it with you. You're such a cuck. These people were happy when Boris was at death's door. They jeered at Liz Truss. They wish Margaret Thatcher could die again. Get a grip. But first, you know I never recommend anything unless I truly believe in it, and today I've got something absolutely game-changing for you. Have you ever stopped to think about how crucial comfort is, especially down there? Well, let me tell you, today's Outspoken proudly sponsored by Sheath Underwear, the revolutionary brand shaking up men's comfort across the globe. And here's what makes Sheath even better. It was founded by a US Army veteran, Robert Patton, while he was serving in Iraq back in 2007. So that's right, not just any underwear brand. This brand was designed for the toughest conditions imaginable. Patton was battling relentless heat and discomfort in full combat gear, and he thought there has to be a better way, so he created it. And let's be honest, traditional underwear just doesn't cut it anymore. Sheath's innovative dual pouch design ensures your comfort all day long, keeping things separate, cool and fresh. Imagine your essentials being comfortably cradled and away from unwanted friction and heat. Trust me, this is genuinely transformative. I love this underwear at the gym, on long days at work, and I'm telling you, once you've experienced Sheath, there simply is no turning back. They're stylish, they're supportive, and they deliver unmatched comfort. It's like upgrading from economy to first class, but for your underwear. And right now, I'm offering you an exclusive 20% discount at sheath.com. Yes, 20% off your entire order when you use my special promo code Outspoken. You just type Outspoken at checkout. So what are you waiting for? Sheath is also the perfect present for your husband, your boyfriend, your son, your brother, or your hard-to-buy-for best mate. And ladies, this is exciting. There are female versions available too. And this is such a cool thing. Sheath, the first official underwear brand of the UFC. So click on the link below, enter Outspoken at checkout, head to sheath.com, and you can thank me later when you're feeling comfortable, confident, and ready to tackle anything your day throws at you. Sheath underwear, redefining comfort one pair at a time. But now, back to the show. Charlie Sansom and Peter C. Barnes. Peter, that post is totally right, isn't it? From the right angle. Yeah. Like, all of a sudden, when it's Rachel Reeves, these lefties, who honestly, I think wanted to drive Liz Truss to suicide, I really do mean that, right? Like, what they were putting her through and what they continue to put her through, a lot of people would not have coped. All of a sudden, oh, you're being horrible. You're being horrible. You're being a chauvinist if you even dare discuss these tears of Rachel from accounts.
Mm. Oh yeah, definitely. I think the phrase "get a grip" might be the most accurate statement to deal with all of this situation, because you're bang on. I mean, it's a really good point about the Boris Johnson situation when he was on death's door. We didn't know whether the Prime Minister was alive or dead at one point, and yet these people were planning a party at one. I mean, it's always this kind of empathy for the right people. But I would remind people that Rachel Reeves' actions have cost this country an estimated £30 billion. Fiscal credibility is non-existent. The 22-point jump in the gilt market makes it so expensive to borrow money now. The pound is basically worthless against the dollar and the euro. So, the chances of this country recovering from this incident is slim to nil without the IMF bailout. That's how serious this is. Rachel Reeves is not just a woman or a politician or anything. She is the Chancellor of the Exchequer. That is a very important role in terms of providing confidence in the markets that we need on our side, more now so than ever, in terms of investment and growth. And under her, I'm sorry, it just doesn't exist. She has to resign. She has to, for the sake of the nation. She's got to go. But unfortunately, she won't, because she has a political acumen of a turnip and the responsibility, of God knows what. But I think there's a really strong point Katie Hopkins made there about the farmer. Her actions have had direct consequences that have decimated families. And she has taken no responsibility for that. So I don't have any sympathy for her now, and I never will do. Her actions were reckless, and they were dangerous, and they've cost lives. That's this Labour Party, and that's this government, and they've got to go.
100%. I mean, Charlie Sanson, I completely agree with Katie Hopkins, because this is a cruel, and actually cruel is not strong enough. This is an evil government. Peter Lynch is dead because you decided to lock up political prisoners. Slippery Starmer. Julie Sweeney remains behind bars. Wayne O'Rourke remains behind bars. Lucy Connolly remains behind bars. So I'm sorry if I refuse to have compassion for this lot.
I agree with you. I've never liked Labour anyway. Obviously, I don't like anyone on the left. I think they're reprehensible in general politically. What I would say about this whole situation, though, is why has it taken Rachel Reeves to start shedding some crocodile tears to then be in the conversation of should she keep her job? This should have been happening a long time ago, but it hasn't. And I think that's an example of how feminised our country has become and how feminised politics has become in general, because all it takes is the emotions of a woman for people to go, oh my God, let's feel sorry for her. But oh my God, should she be crying? Oh my God, should she lose her job? Oh my God, oh my God. I just want someone competent, actually. And I think Peter spoke for me in what he said a moment ago. Everything that he was saying there was absolutely spot on. So can we get someone competent, please? That would be great.
Yeah.
Sure, if you're having a bad day, I'm not completely inhuman. If you're having a bad day and you want to let out a few tears, go to the toilet, leave the chamber. Why you got to sit there and do it? And I'm not a nasty guy, but there's a look here, and that's a woman under pressure, and she's under pressure from all sides because she doesn't know what she's doing, and her colleagues know that she doesn't know what she's doing.
That is a really interesting point, isn't it, Peter? Yes, please come in. No, come in.
Yeah. Sorry, my fault. I'm going to say, politically, she's been out in the cold for quite some time. The Labour Party want nothing to do with her. She's toxic on the doorstep. So she's no allies. She's no one to lean on for support at all. And I'm having the starting suspicion that a lot of this may have been brought up in terms of deflection away from her actions. So we don't actually talk about the damage and the chaos that she's caused with having sympathy for her. Is it not a narrative way of kind of changing the conversation so we have sympathy for her, so we try to keep her in place? I'm wondering if there's a little bit of a strategy involved here now to manipulate the public into thinking that this is what we should be talking about, when in reality, as I've said, £30 billion has just been knocked off this country's assets. That is a substantial amount of money, and nobody is going to be held accountable for that, because unfortunately the Chancellor asked for a Kleenex. It's embarrassing. As internationally, we are a laughing stock right now. Nobody takes this country seriously. We're out of the room when it comes to most geopolitical stuff. I mean, it's just a joke, absolute joke. But all of this could have been prevented if the mainstream media did their job and held them accountable when they were in opposition, because in opposition they were just as chaotic, but once they got into government, it was kid gloves all the way. It's just the most disgusting thing ever.
And do you agree with Charlie that part of this is because we now live in a feminized society, which actually was the total opposite of what Margaret Thatcher wanted? It was like, first and foremost, she was going to be a competent, brilliant prime minister. Second, she was a woman. Third, she was a mother. Fourth, she was a wife. And actually, she never wanted to focus on number 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, I was going back to what Katie Hopkins said in one of her very first appearances on Question Time, saying women couldn't handle being treated equally, most of them. And that's the reality of it. We're living in a society where people are being treated equally. They don't like it, so they start crying, and then we feel sorry for them. I'm sorry, I just don't have time for this. The nation does not have time for this. We are about to face an economic crisis that's going to make 2008 look like child's play. The seriousness cannot be understated, and we're spending our time dealing with a chancellor who should not be there. I completely agree with Charlie that, you know, if you're having a bad day, that's one thing. But again, she has to recognize that she is more than just a politician. She's the chancellor of the exchequer. Her actions have consequences well beyond, you know, the average voter. And I'm sorry, her political naivety and the naivety of number 10 at the moment, the political operation there is shocking. They all need clearing out. It's just shambles. Westminster is rotting around this. And there's nobody, in my opinion, that's capable of taking up the mantle at the moment. And that concerns me even more than what's going on.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go wherever you are.